race zippers, as most of you know. Danny is no longer, is not a stranger to the motorcycle industry, so let's just go ahead and take a look at his video.
Danny Fitzmaurice, a passion to race. As an 11-year-old in 1970, Danny Fitzmaurice's neighbor Ron Helms opened a new Harley-Davidson dealership. In short order, he talked Ron into allowing him to spend every waking hour outside of school in his dealership. From that point forward, most of Danny's life has revolved around motorcycles. Most of all, he had a passion to learn from any who were willing to teach how to develop and make more power from these fierce machines. Danny's racing career began with the dealer on dirt bikes with a lifelong friend, Dave Zahner. They pooled their passions and resources to develop a short-track racing program. They raced 8 to 10 times a month on dirt, and dirt raced their Sportsters at every local event they could afford to enter, as they worked their day jobs and repaired engines at night, all to help fund more racing. Their expanding engine business was growing fast, and the official formation of Zippers occurred in May of 1981 with Dave at his side. Dave had ideas on developing a chassis, and they discussed how to build an engine. Yet with a struggling new business requiring all the capital to be reinvested, there was little time or money to consider how they would race again. Local retired racer, fabricator, and refrigerator mechanic Gene Hinkle said that he could see that their skulls were harder than woodpecker lips, as they were going to go forward with or without his help. They convinced him to help, and he let them borrow a frame, front end, and other parts from his old Sportster racer. Dave built a custom swing arm with motocross shocks, and they built a new engine to test. On the second race with this motorcycle, they quickly displaced the dirt drag champion with a convincing win. Quietly working and testing another motorcycle as spare time and money would allow, by 1985 they finally finished their first competitive drag bike. With the support, acumen, and encouragement of skilled mentors like cylinder head expert and former racer Dan Baisley, camshaft designer Dick Hilferty, and their local spiritual leader and former drag racer Gene Hinkle. Enduro racer John Kitzmiller joined the business in 1985. John quickly organized displays of Zippers parts and services that drew large crowds of people to the Team Zippers tent at the races. By 1987, Dave had built a new chassis, producing more records, many race wins, and ultimately championships. The team's pranks, humor, skills, hard work ethic, and instinct to win made it easy for Danny to produce results on the track. As their family grew, Danny was lucky to share the love of motorcycling with his kids. Team Zippers has had many innovations and accomplishments in its 40 years. Danny states, "It's all much bigger than me or Dave, as Zippers continues to engineer new, innovative products." Danny credits so many, including Dave, and the late Dick Hilferty, with helping in so many ways. We remain grateful for the impact that so many people have made on our experience of racing. We still have a lot more work to accomplish in the industry, so let's get back to work. The Sturgis Motorcycle Museum and Hall of Fame, class of 2019, is proud to welcome Danny Fitzmaurice.
Please welcome Danny.
Good morning. It is an honor to be here amongst so many good friends and industry folks. The reverence of the museum, of all the Hall of Famers, of all the great people in our industry. It's just it's surreal to actually be here doing this. And I want to share with you some of the early days, just so you can kind of see how ridiculous we actually were. The phrase that Gene Hinkle used about our heads being harder than woodpecker lips was actually a true story. And he was a great mentor. He built top fuel chassis for Danny Johnson back in the 60s and 70s. And of course, we grew up in the neighborhood of Sonny Rout, who was a fantastic racer, building Triumphs and developing engine parts and such. And, you know, Gene was a mentor because he saw how committed we were, and he was testing us. He wanted to make sure we were going to do the job right, we were committed to what we were doing. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about our business plan and how this all kind of came about. We started in a little garage that we built behind my parents' house, Dave and I did. Some of our customers we were building engines for actually came out, helped us mix concrete, helped us frame the thing up, put shingles on the roof, the whole thing, and we had a great plan figured out. Because we were going to just race full time, we don't have any overhead, everything's paid for. We got this thing all figured out. And one day some guy comes knocking on the door, he's from the License Permits Division. He says, looks inside, and this thing's full of machinery and engines all over the place and motorcycles. He says, you guys got to get out of here. You run a business here. So we had this great plan that I think was probably developed by my influence of watching Wile E. Coyote trying to catch the Roadrunner. So we're going to start a business in 1981. We have no money, and we have a little bit of machinery, and we have a lot of passion, which drives this industry. And what was it? Interest rates were 21%, and double-digit unemployment, double-digit inflation. Harley Davidson just had new owners, and we're going to start a business. I mean, it was just amazing. But how it all began was it started with the Harley dealer, and our connections to the industry. Many of you that we are such good friends with have had so much influence on the things that we do. And racing teaches us how to work. As Jerry Corrector so appropriately said, racing's an algorithm of everything that doesn't work. So there's a lot of disappointment and a lot of setbacks in that. But it teaches you how to do things, how to accomplish things, how to make things happen, which you need because there's going to be a lot of challenges to run the business. But in all, I mean, innovation, being committed, we have an incredible team of men and women, zippers, and they are really what has made this happen, because without them, there is no zippers. And we have an amazing group of customers, loyal customers, we've been doing business with for almost 40 years. And I thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for that, because it's been a great journey, and we've had some of the best teachers, and I just can't thank everyone enough for being there for us, because it's been a great ride, and we have a lot more to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Danny. Appreciate it. Our next inductee has been a leader in the motorcycle industry for more than 40 years. And you wouldn't know it by looking at her, but what more of anything else is that she's a really good friend of all of us. Please learn a little bit more about Jill Parham and J&P Cycles.
We started the business when motorcycling wasn't very cool, and we weren't the coolest thing in town in Anamosa. They thought we were just, what do you bring into this town, and it made us sad, and we showed them, I guess, didn't we? So, motorcycling became one of the best sports there is around, and the passion of the motorcyclists now is just unbelievable. In the very beginning, I don't think that people really probably understood my role at J&P, but the most important thing is that John did, and he always gave me credit for a lot, always. And so over the years, as he gave me more credit, people became more directing, questions to me and stuff. But in the beginning, it was hard. They just saw him as John with wife on his hand, and it took years. But and I was really not very many women in the industry at that point in time at all. But then it became kind of when they directed, things to us, it was always kind of John and Jill. It was John and Jill this and John and Jill that, and he never saw us apart because we went together. History repeats itself. I laugh at my own self now because I have some memorabilia of John since he's passed, and I go back to the swap meets and set up, and they're laughing at me. They're like, geez, Jill, what are you doing? And I laugh because I said, I guess history's repeating itself and I'm just comfortable at it. You know, it's where we started and you never forget where your roots are. You know, don't give up your passion. If you've got a passion and you want to make something work, it's not easy. Just keep going and keep working at it and it'll come.
A special thank you to all the employees at J&P Cycles for nominating me for this position. I am honored and humbled to be here today, receiving this award, and proud to be joining so many great inductees in the past and this year's class. Many of them are good friends. 40 years ago, J&P was started, and as I reflect on the memories, the good times and the hard times, you are all part of that huge history of ours. When John had the idea to start a motorcycle business in 1979, his mother called me up and she said, you need to stop him from doing this. And I didn't stop him, I did support him, and together we created a legacy. History tells it all from there, and Sturgis was a big, big part of it. This is actually my 33rd year to Sturgis, and our son has been coming since he was 12 years old. I think this is his 23rd year riding to Sturgis. When John passed, I thought hard and long about leaving the motorcycle world because it was so much part of both of us, but I soon learned that you guys were all part of my lives and I would have missed you. So I jumped back into it and chaired the National Motorcycle Museum and took off where he had started things, and it's a great day for me. So some days I feel like I'm back in the early days when I was at the swap meets and events, and I felt comfortable there, and so history repeats itself. Let's keep moving forward and keep the world on two wheels forever. I thank you all so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jill.